I want to ask you a question. A simple question. Are you a bad person? Most people would say no. I'm not saying that's a lie, but maybe you don't fully understand the truth. Evil doesn't exist in some separate world, and like in stories, it doesn't live inside a monster waiting to be set free. History is proof that the most terrifying creature in history has always been the human being, an ordinary human being, just like you and me. So where does evil come from? And the most frightening question of all, are we capable of it too? Maybe today you'll get the answer to that question, but what you find might be different from what you expect. The choice is yours. Let's explore the simple truth about evil, a truth that may leave you feeling deeply uncomfortable in an unexpected way. As human beings, we have a unique trait. We always see ourselves as justified. We judge other people's decisions very harshly, but we rarely apply that same harshness to ourselves. We are very good at justifying our own actions. We can cover up our mistakes, sometimes even from ourselves, because we don't want to see ourselves as bad people or hypocrites. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever done something wrong to someone? Maybe you betrayed a friend. Maybe you hurt someone. Maybe you didn't help someone even though you could have. Even in those situations, you probably have explanations that justify your actions. I'm sure you do. The circumstances were different. I didn't have a choice. What else was I supposed to do? They were all doing the same thing. I was just doing my job. And don't worry, everyone is like that. This is not about deceiving ourselves. It's simply part of human nature. We just don't want to think that we too could become a part of evil, because once we think about that, it becomes much harder to run away from reality. But this is exactly what we need to think about the most. Because the person who believes they could never do something evil is often the person closest to it. In 1961, Hannah Arendt, a German Jewish philosopher, traveled to Jerusalem on behalf of New York Magazine to cover a court trial. Whose trial was it? Adolf Eichmann's. Eichmann was an important official in the Nazi Party and one of the major figures involved in the mass killing of Jews. He was one of the architects behind a highly organized genocide. He was an official who played a role in sending nearly 2 million Jews to their deaths, and this was his trial. Hannah was present during this trial, but afterward she was deeply confused. In fact, she was shocked. The reason was that before going to the trial, she expected to see a monster. She expected to see someone filled with hatred, disgust, and cruelty, but that wasn't what she saw. What she saw was simply an official carrying out his orders, a man who spoke in a calm and steady manner, with complete sincerity. He claimed that he had no hatred for Jewish people. I was just doing my job. I was following the orders given to me by my superiors. I was simply being a loyal soldier. It sounds strange, doesn't it? How can a person be so unaware that they don't even recognize their own evil? Hannah wasn't troubled because Eichmann's statement sounded true. She was troubled because it might actually have been true. Driven by this concern, Hannah started one of the most controversial debates of the century. She called this idea the banality of evil, the ordinary nature of evil. According to her, what she saw in that courtroom was not some ultimate form of evil with an inhuman or demonic origin. Instead, It was something very ordinary, very normal. It was the evil of a person who had simply stopped thinking. Does Hannah Arendt's conclusion actually hold any real value, or is it just an unfounded idea? This is in itself a debate, because Eichmann was not some extremely foolish man. He could not have reached such a high position by being incompetent. Some people argued that Eichmann staged his behavior in order to avoid punishment. Others even claimed that he was a sadist who had already surrendered his moral judgment, that he enjoyed watching people suffer, and that the orders he received were just an excuse to satisfy the animal inside him. There are many different opinions, and just as many questions. So is Hannah Arendt's concept of the banality of evil completely baseless? Absolutely not. Let's understand it through an experiment. The Milgram Experiment. After Hannah Arendt's book was published, Yale psychologist Stanley Milgram designed a very interesting psychological experiment. He involved ordinary American citizens in it. They were told that they were part of a study about learning and memory. The experiment was something like this. The ordinary citizens were brought into a lab where an official in a lab coat gave them instructions. The instructions were very simple. In front of them, there was a person sitting on a chair, and the official asked that person some questions. If the answer was wrong, the person sitting on the chair would be given an electric shock. Delivering that shock was the job of the ordinary participants. With each mistake, the intensity of the shock would increase. Eventually, it reached 450 volts, which is lethal. The participants did not know that this was just a setup. The person sitting on the chair was actually an actor pretending to receive the shocks. But for the participants, everything felt real. Even then, 65% of the participants were willing to give a potentially lethal shock to that person, simply because an official in a lab coat was telling them to do so. None of them were mentally ill or sadistic. None of them had any personal hatred toward that person, yet they were still willing to give a lethal shock. This is also a form of evil. It is not extremely or inherently evil, but it is ordinary. You could even call it somewhat innocent in appearance, but it is still evil. This experiment supports Hannah Arendt's concept of the banality of evil, but at the same time, it also shows that for evil to be effective, it does not need to look evil. Even an ignorant form of evil can be just as destructive as an extreme form of evil. Then it does not matter whether you are giving the order, following the order, or simply watching it happen. If you do not stand against it, you are also a part of that evil. You are equally responsible for the consequences. Recently, we also understood Hitler's psychology. The purpose of that was not to show sympathy toward him or to justify his actions in any way. What Adolf Hitler did was 100% wrong. There is no question about it. When we say that Hitler's difficult childhood affected his mental condition, we are not saying that he had no other choice. If he wanted to, he could have faced his wounds, but he chose to run away from them. If you see Hitler as a symbol of power, then you are extremely foolish. Hitler's behavior toward the world was only a reflection of his own pain. He was a wounded mind that only wanted to justify its own scars. Remember that pain is not something to be celebrated, it is something to be endured. Only the weak expect sympathy. What made Hitler evil was not just his evil itself, but the hollow form of goodness hidden inside that evil. More dangerous than extreme evil is the kind of evil that eventually claims to be good, because it appears justified. So what is the purpose of this video, beyond confusion? The purpose is only to make you understand this. Learn to think and learn to see. No matter how truthful a lie may seem, it does not become the truth. You will see many such lies around you. Learn to see beyond them. Learn to face yourself. I am certain that the day you learn to see yourself with complete honesty, exactly as you are, with all your flaws and weaknesses, not trying to justify anything, but seeing things exactly as they are, on that day, you will be able to see the hollow layers in everyone, including yourself. If you want to look into other people, you must first look inside yourself. Empty structures of greatness, greed for money, desire for pleasure, hunger for respect, and despite these flaws, faces that still appear completely perfect. Faces that are only a show, a way to hide the dirt. I am not saying that this dirt does not exist within me. I am just as human as you are. I am only saying that you should learn to see it. Once you face your own flaws and accept them, only then will the world's illusion become clear. Then you will no longer need any kind of pretense. You will be able to become what you truly are, without any hollow expectations. Then you will know what your real desire is. You will understand what freedom is. That freedom is neither good nor bad. It is simply free. Yes, I agree. I also desire this kind of freedom. And don't worry, becoming aware of this freedom does not make you bad. It only makes you human. But one question still remains. If evil is so ordinary, how does an average person become one of the world's most terrifying dictators? What kind of thinking turned Adolf Hitler into someone the entire world feared? Watch the video on your screen. I'll meet you there.